Okay. Well, hello, everybody. I am Stacey Dunn-Emke with NutritionJobs, and I'm delighted that you are here with us today and talking about how to work as a dietitian in private practice without having to set up your own business. I think that's always sort of a tricky thing when you think about setting up a private practice, that you have to also become a business owner and an entrepreneur. So I have a very special guest with us today who's going to talk to us all about how to do that. And that is my dear friend, dietitian, Adrien Paczosa. Welcome, Adrien.
Stacey, I am just over the moon excited to be here and talk with everybody.
Yeah, I'm very excited. So Adrien and I met years ago. We are conference friends from Fancy from over the years, and we've done collaborations together. Adrien, you are one of those dietitians that I really, really look up to, in that you are helping to create a different model for as a dietitian working in private practice. You have run your own successful private practice where you've employed other dietitians in person and through telehealth. You've also had a very successful podcast, and now you're having this great brand new adventure with a company called Nourish. Let me show you what that company looks like on the next slide. And you're partnering with that for dietitians, how you got interested in working with patients one-on-one background.
Oh, I think I got all your questions. Your poor little hotspot is taking a beating today. So I think I heard your question, but let me know if I didn't get it right. So it was more, how did I get involved and interested in private practice? So many years ago, almost 17 years ago, I kind of just raised my hand. There was a local eating disorder treatment center that needed outpatient dietitians to refer to. And I was like, oh, I can do that. I'll figure it out. A little alone knowing I had no idea what I was doing. But one of the things 17 years ago that was so important to me was to create affordable care to dietitians. I wanted to make sure that cost was never an issue for patients to come and see me, especially in mental health world. That can always be a big barrier. So way back when, 17 plus years ago, was bound and determined to figure out the game of insurance, and I made a lot of wrong mistakes. But I was able to get credentialed with a couple of different insurances, and that's what kind of launched their trajectory of the private practice, this group practice, and now Nourish, was being able to stay close to our core mission, which is to provide affordable access to registered dietitians, and also to build up dietitians. I love dietitians. I think we are magical. I think we are amazing. I love Fancy. That's how I met Stacey. Fancy is like dietitian Christmas. I just am so proud to be a dietitian. And so I really wanted to help dietitians become mainstream, to help us really be elevated in the medical community. So my little purpose and passion heart is full of joy and excitement with Nourish.
I won't talk too long because I know my hotspot is unstable, and I'll have Adrien do most of the talking. But so you're building this new company called Nourish, and tell us a little bit about how Nourish works and how it is that you then employ dietitians.
Yeah, so we are 100% virtual telenutrition company. And as of today that we are recording, we have almost 70 registered dietitians in 38 different states, which is just amazing. We have some big goals to keep growing, but how it kind of works as being a registered dietitian, all of our dietitians are W-2. For a couple of reasons. I know dietitians, we want that safety and security, and that was something for me. It was really important to make sure that we are providing that place. And with that, we're able to really make sure that we are providing that community, that education, that support. Because if you are doing private practice on your own, it's lonely and it's hard. And so being a part of a company, there's so much more that we're able to do and provide. So we've got some full-time dietitians. We've got our part-time dietitians, but truly when it comes down to it, we are a true community of dietitians collaborating, learning from each other. And the best part is none of the back end stuff. We have an amazing customer experience team, engineering team to do all of the stuff. So the insurance billing, the paperwork, the onboarding of patients, tech issues. Like after running a private practice for 17 years, I can't even count how many times I wish I could call up an administrative team member and say help, or call up an engineering team. And now we have that. So to me, it is what a dietitian always wanted in private practice is I just come in and be a dietitian. Oh yeah, and we have a marketing team. So that's the other cool part. You are flooded with patients and you set how many you want, you set the cadence and all that great stuff. So you still have that autonomy, but we have more patients that we do appointments right now. So the need for our services as dietitians is truly out there, and it's just so exciting to be able to meet patients. Yeah.
Adrien, I want to go work for the company. I have to back up and say, this is not a sponsored webinar. This is just me being able to, I find what Adrien is doing with Nourish and bringing it to dietitians who want your own, your back end. Adrien, who's like your ideal candidate for this position?
Yeah, I would say somebody that has some experience with counseling. So, 2 to 3 years in counseling, but more so, we're really looking for dietitians that are wanting to be part of that community, that are done with the headache of paperwork and the back end stuff that is just soul sucking, that is truly wanting to be a part of that patient's journey. One of the things, one of our pillars of excellence is care and collaboration, and really developing behavior changes over that long period. So because we're able to take insurance, we are able to see patients more often. We are able to truly make long-term behavior changes. And so we're really wanting to work with dietitians that's part of their value system. That is part of their approach to care as well. So those are the things that we are really looking for as in our dietitians.
Oh, that's great. Thank you. I'm trying to be like short with my questions, but what tips would you recommend dietitians applying for a position best stand out from the crowd?
Yeah, I would say, what we're really looking for is somebody that is wanting to be part of that community, but also that, is also willing to be very driven. So which I think is kind of interesting because most dietitians are very driven, but how does that come across in a resume? How does that come across in an interview? Is being forward, being willing to ask questions, being prepared, which I think of all the dietitians, I'm like, that's everybody that I know. But also what we're really looking for is somebody that is wanting to be a part of community, that is not scared of sharing their knowledge, is asking questions, because that is another one of our core principles is community and sharing of knowledge.
I was going to share something on my screen. So on NutritionJobs.com, you can see we've got a bunch of jobs that are posted by Adrien right now. There's a great little blurb about what Nourish is and some links to those jobs. So if you are interested in applying to those jobs, do check those out. There's lots of different skill sets. She's looking for a certain level of experience and counseling experience. And I think you talked about looking for dietitians who have an interest and experience with gut health, eating disorders, and diabetes. Is that right?
Yes. So we are seeing a really large influx of patients with gut health, diabetes, disordered eating, emotional eating. But I also really encourage people to reach out. And if those aren't your areas, no worry. We will help and support our dietitians to learn more.
That's fantastic. I love hearing about this. So this is back over on what I was actually impressed with was on the website, Use Nourish, that you have really great materials for having the applicants be very successful. So in the career section, if you scroll to the bottom of the website, careers, how to apply, more detail, what they're looking for, what the values are, what the interview and onboarding process is, the compensation and benefits, and why you'd even want to join Nourish and why it exists for the patient population that it does. I found that all very, very helpful, very insightful. The job descriptions themselves are very detailed. As you know, I always recommend looking at a job description when you're applying for a job, because it's a gold mine of information about the company and about the work that you're going to be doing and how you're going to be successful in that position, both for yourself, but also for the position and being able to really meet the company's goal. Interview process. Adrien, what would be types of interview questions that people can expect and maybe prepare for?
Yeah. So I would say, there's a couple of different rounds of the interview process. That first call with Nourish will be with our recruiting department, and you'll get to learn more about Nourish, but really we want to learn about you. And kind of really, I would say what we're also looking for is coming prepared with questions of, what it's like to work at Nourish, what is kind of what we're looking for. So come prepared to ask questions. We're going to ask you questions, but it's more about, we want to get to know you. That second call is actually with our clinical team. And that's where we're wanting to understand your counseling ability. What is it like for a patient to come and see you? There might be some role playing with somebody on our clinical team. How do you pull out information from a patient? How do you work together with patients? What is your approach to care? And then at the end of that question, we really talk through that clinical side of what is it like to practice at Nourish as a registered dietitian. So our interview process, there's usually 2 rounds. But yeah, that first one is just a get to know you. And the second one is really looking at your clinical skills. But before that, we do have an application process. And through there, what we're really looking for as well is looking at your PES statements and your charting and how you approach a patient. So we usually give you kind of a scenario, and we're really wanting to see how that dietitian is assessing it. So my biggest advice is don't skim. So treat it as a true patient. Treat it as you are truly charting and showing off your amazing counseling dietetic skills. Have a rock star PES statement. Those are the things that we're looking for in that initial online application. And the ones that we see that are really putting forth that effort and taking it seriously, we love that.
Adrien, I'm glad I asked. I wouldn't even thought to that you would be doing that. So that's fantastic. That's really helpful, very valuable insight. And of course, that helps, the bigger picture, the company, and then also the patient itself as they're joining your company, Nourish. So that's super insightful. Where do you see the future of dietitians?
The future of dietitians in private practice. Well, I think they should all come work at Nourish, but I'm a little biased. But I mean, let's have some real talk. Private practice is hard. It is really, really hard. Before Nourish, when I was doing a lot of business coaching with other dietitians in private practice, the biggest complaint is this is really hard. This is really lonely. I don't know how to find patients. I'm spending more time on the back end. Insurance is getting more and more difficult. And so to me, those are all only going to get more and more difficult. And so what Nourish really is here to do is make life easy for a dietitian, take all of those awful things that nobody prefers, but also provide a community. And I think that's one of the cool things that nobody ever talks about in the dietitian world is how much community really impacts our education, our growth mindset, and our satisfaction. And so I think private practice dietitians should all just come work for Nourish because it fills up your soul as a dietitian to meet with other dietitians. It fills up your dietitian's soul to have a place to ask questions, to not feel alone, and to not have the headache of the back office. So those are my thoughts.
I'm just impressed. I love the idea though that a dietitian can provide direct patient care and just do that. Know that their patients are coming to them. They don't have to worry about doing the marketing and getting the referrals from the physicians in their local area. It's all done in telehealth. You take care of all the licensing issues and the insurance and all that back end. That's a great way to say it, that when you want to go into private practice, I mean, the first thing you're thinking of is not, how am I going to be doing my taxes? How am I going to be making an appointment with my attorney? How am I going to be count gets, it just varies. So I know I'm unstable, but anything else you want to share with us, Adrien? Anything else you want to share?
Yeah, I would just say, if you do have questions about the job posting, don't hesitate to reach out to us. There's multiple ways to reach out at Nourish. So recruiting at Nourish, use nourish.com, but definitely go to NutritionJobs.com and click on the website, click through all the applications. That's the easiest way to learn more about this position. And we're just so excited to continue to build up dietitians.
Adrien, I thank you so much again. I'll just reiterate, this was not a sponsored event. I just really believe in what Nourish is doing for dietitians in our profession. And I'm really excited to be able to highlight that and highlight the work that Adrien is doing. She's been a pioneer in private practice as a dietitian for many years, decades. And so it's really exciting to see her move into this venture and how you can tap into that with her and really be able to provide direct patient care without all of the headache. Also go check out the website, use Nourish.
Oh, thank you, Stacey.
Okay. All right. If there's anything else, I just wanted to share one last thing. If you need to contact me, this is a great way to do it. And thank you so much, everybody, for joining. And thank you so much for your patience, everybody with the bad internet connection. Thanks, Adrien.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.